I have nothing out of the ordinary planned for today.
Okay. You're just nervous just because.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts, Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Shane, catch everyone up on what's going on in your world.
I'm just getting ready to do a whole lot of nothing for my birthday, but at least I'll get to drop my novel bomb on the world. And in all seriousness, if given the option between keeping Hopeless Oceans or all 50 plus other books that I've published, I'd choose Hopeless Oceans. And I can't wait for the world to shit all over it. But hey, I got it done, and it's going to be a ride. What's been going on with you?
Nothing much. We have been taking full advantage of just quarantine and pretty much being with ourselves up until about yesterday. For some of you that listen to the podcast, Shane gives me massive amounts of shit for being the spooky one.
No.
For being the spooky one. And I've decided that it's close enough to fall. And I'm a grown-ass woman and pay my own mortgage. So I decided to decorate for Halloween about a month and a half early.
Is it sad that I didn't even notice? I'm fucking lost this week, yeah.
I would say maybe a little, but at this point, I'm not real surprised.
Hey, purple lights. I see some lights. Okay.
The lights were in here already.
Okay.
See, that just goes to show you really don't notice.
I'm lost, yeah.
But, just keep on keeping on. That's what's been going on with me.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. It's nice to have a little bit of normal time.
Mm-hmm.
Get to decorate for a season. Mm-hmm. Feel like this year isn't complete shit.
Yeah, that was my reasoning behind it was there's not very many things that I can control in the year 2020. And the little bit that I actually can control, I'm just going to say fuck it and do what I want. So anyway, enough about us. Roll the intro.
So you got to pick the list of songs for this week, Rayburn. What is our list?
Our list this week is top 10 songs that you've seen performed live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start off. My first pick was Last Leaf by OK Go. They're those crazy, cool motherfuckers that did the song Here It Goes Again on, the treadmills.
They've got the wild videos in general, right?
Yes. I
like the one with the cars where they drive. Have you not seen that?
I guess not.
Okay.
They do a lot of Rube Goldberg machine type videos. Yeah. So we saw them in concert. I took Blue for his birthday. It was at the Granada Theater. So small theater, but it was extreme. You see those videos and you think, oh, they're live shows. They can't even amount to that.
Yeah.
It was insane how creative they were in concert. And during the song Last Leaf, the lead singer actually stepped out into the crowd. I was standing in front of a bar.
Right.
And he stood in front of me and performed Last Leaf. So literally I'm like looking up and getting a crotch shot.
I can see why you feel partial.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool just to know that he was right there. I kept joking with Blue that I was like going to touch his shoe. Maybe be that girl, but I didn't though. Last Leaf by OK Go. It's also a pretty decent song anyway. So what's your pick?
First pick for me was from my very first concert experience. The song is Shine by Collective Soul. This was at the Texas Motor Speedway. There were tons of musical artists there. Now what made this in particular great was it's what they started with. Mm-hmm. It was 114 degrees that day when we got out of the car. So just being in the open felt nice anyway, but when the sun started to set, that's when they came on stage and it was getting breezy and it felt good.
Oh, so it was a mood.
Yeah. And you could see that song fitting that mood, and it did a wonderful, wonderful job of it. Story.
Tell it.
One of the bands in the lineup, the reason that I wanted to go to this concert to begin with is because Third Eye Blind was playing.
Uh-huh.
When we got there, I went with Misty and Harold. It's my aunt and her boyfriend at the time, who has since passed away. Mm-hmm.
Is that the one that they called something racist? Was that him or was that somebody else? I'm not going to say it on.
I know he called her feet.
Okay. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Moving on.
Harold is all There's another name there, I'm sure, but I've had quite a few drinks since that time in my life. But
Sorry.
I missed Third Eye Blind. We heard them. I heard them in the parking lot because we had to roll joints in the parking lot for about an hour before we could go in. So by the time we got in, the Wallflowers were on stage. Nothing against them. They're not Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
What's your second pick?
I actually saw this band with your wife. I won free tickets on a radio show.
Posers.
Yeah, shut up. Don't hate. We had a great night. Anyway, it was definitely, we always joke that every time we get together, it's always an adventure because something somewhere either doesn't seem to go right or it's always a little bit more complicated than what it needs to be. Not to say that that's anything against us or it says anything about us, but this night we actually went to go see Fall Out Boy, and my song of choice is Sugar We're Going Down, because the minute that song came on, we just lost our freaking minds.
Isn't this the concert where you couldn't move?
Yes. Okay, so we were in a crowd. What we like to say, we were in a crowd of flannel, because literally we were surrounded by a bunch of teenage girls that were just now discovering Fall Out Boy. Like, they completely missed the Under the Cork Tree album and Infinity on High. Like, they were just getting to know who Fall Out Boy was. I mean, this goes to show you, one of the intro bands performed Rollin' on the River.
American Psycho phase.
Yes.
Okay.
So the band before performed Tina Turner's Rollin'. None of the kids even knew it. And me and your wife were just like sad. Really getting into it. But we couldn't move our arms, so we kind of had to do the Rollin' motion close to our chest. So anyway, it was fun. It was sweaty. I'm pretty sure your wife ate some girl's hair. Or I did. I don't know. There was a lot of...
It's a special treat.
Yeah.
When you're at a concert.
Yeah. So anyway, Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy. What's your second pick?
Second pick was Rain King by the Counting Crows.
Okay.
What made this special for me is, one, I love the Counting Crows, but I did not know that they were completely rearranging their set. They tended to make their slower songs a bit faster, and their, more electric songs were very acoustic. The arrangements were completely different. What their lead vocalist, Adam Duritz, did with some of this stuff. You can hear it all, by the way. It's on one of the discs of Across a Wire. It's a 2-disc live album, but one of those is the acoustic set. And this version of Rain King just stood out in my head as I didn't know musicians were capable of doing that sort of thing. It's not a typical acoustic. I'm really undervaluing it here. One other thing I wanted to mention before we moved on from this concert experience of mine, No Doubt did play later in the evening, and Bush followed.
Oh, damn, that's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, we saw, Jewel was there too, Chantel Kravias. There were plenty of people worth seeing. But what made Gwen's performance amazing, my cousin Corey had fucking No Doubt live video, and he used to watch Don't Speak on repeat. I swear that was porn for him. I bet when no one was around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was anticipating that sort of thing. No, at some point, and this is at the Speedway, so they have these gigantic stacks that go way up in the air. And in the middle of some song, she climbed that fucking stack and just started screaming, blowing her own hair back through the amplification that was coming out of the stack.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic experience, but...
I'm beginning to think that Corey and my dad might have a little bit more in common.
Oh, yeah.
Because he also had, well, not the live performance, but he had a compilation DVD of all of No Doubt's music video performances. Like, we're talking like way back from like Trapped in a Box, like their very first music video.
I'm beginning to think your goal is to make sure your dad has no secrets left by the time he comes on the show.
Because he still continues to threaten me on a daily basis. He's counting down the minutes that he can be on. But he was the exact same way. And the older I got, the more I'm like, was this a sexual thing for him? Did we sit in the living room and enjoy this as a family? And Dad's like perversing to Gwen Stefani?
Probably a bit, but I'm sure it was nowhere near the extent that Corey's was. You could tell just looking in this dude's eyes, it was real. What's your third pick?
My third pick is Come Sail Away by Styx. I saw Styx in concert with my dad.
That would have been a good show.
It was really good. Granted, I mean, it was outside, but we were under the covered portion.
Right.
It was really, really cool. It was, you know how you have that that build up, the slow piano intro, and then the duh, 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 you know, and everything just went like nuts. And it was so crazy to be able to see that performed live with my dad. I've had a lot of wonderful moments with him going to concerts because when I was a child, he stopped going to concerts.
Yeah.
About the time that I was born, he quit going to them. And this is this man that's like, seen Motley Crue 3 times. And,
I gotta be a dad now.
yeah. So, I mean, apparently when you become a dad, you become boring because my dad quit going to concerts. I say that to a dad.
I've been to one concert.
But the minute that I turned 18, I'm like, I'm going to give him that gift back and we're going to enjoy it together. So now he's gone to a concert with me, my brother, and my sister, me more so than them because we've gone to multiple, which you'll find out later on in the list. But Come Sail Away by Styx, it was a hell of a performance.
Every time that song comes on, I just want to hear the Eric Cartman version.
Oh my God.
Every time. Give me the South Park version. It's so good.
I'm not the least bit surprised. What's your next pick?
So here's a shocker. It's a Lil Jon song.
Okay.
It's Lovers and Friends. And this does actually have guest appearances by Ludacris and Usher. Mm-hmm. The thing that makes this special is we went to a concert where Eminem and D12 were performing. This was right before Proof died. Mm-hmm. So that was cool for me. 50 Cent was also there. Mobb Deep was also there. So my expectations for Lil Jon were nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. I knew he was going to get the crowd hyped.
Yeah, he was really popular at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
saying 3 words, but yeah.
There was so much pot being smoked that it was just a contact high everywhere. I wasn't smoking. My Aunt Jennifer was pregnant at the time. She had to go all the way back against the fence just to stay away from this stuff. But what made this performance stellar is he was alone on stage, essentially, and had the balls to actually perform this song. And he did every part.
Aww.
He sang Usher's part. Mm-hmm. He rapped Ludacris' part. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting it, and he did so good. What's your next pick?
Can I just say real quick that I'm learning so much about the people that you've seen. Like I knew about Counting Crows, and I knew about bands like that. I didn't know you saw Eminem. Yeah. D12. I didn't even know you saw Lil Jon. So anyway, this is exactly why I chose this list. Anyway, my next pick, it's funny that you bring up Ludacris, is Area Codes by Ludacris. Song featuring Nate Dogg, but Nate Dogg wasn't there. Anyway.
I got hoes.
Yeah. So I bought these tickets the day before the concert was set to happen, just on a whim. They were marked down and I asked Blue, I was like, you want to go see Ludacris? He was like, maybe. And I'm like, we're going to go see Ludacris. So I bought the tickets and we get to the concert venue and it is absolutely pouring. And we're having to walk to the concert venue. So already we're like, oh, this is going to be a bad time. We get there. There's probably 50 people that showed up to this concert.
Damn.
And we sat in the area right behind like the pit. Ludacris steps out on stage and he takes a good look around and he goes, nah, man, we ain't gonna do this. Y'all come up here. And I was probably about the distance from you to me, maybe a little bit more from Ludacris.
Right.
So it was like a private concert and it fucking ruled. I'm sitting there dancing and singing and enjoying myself next to the band that opened for him because they came out. I don't know who they were.
That'd be neat.
It was so cool. So to this day, I'll tell people I got a private performance from Ludacris. What he performed, I'm going to leave that open for interpretation. So, Area Codes by Ludacris. What's your next pick?
Let me look at my list. Oh, it's Moonlight and Madness by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So for a while, we were seeing this group perform during their tour. It was part of our Christmas ritual. Mm-hmm. Every year, we would go see them perform live. This isn't my favorite Trans-Siberian Orchestra song, but it is my favorite part of their live set.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the dueling pianos at the beginning, the way they do it live is actually like a battle that goes back and forth for far longer than what you hear on the real track.
Mm-hmm.
The pyrotechnics, the lights, they all really kick into high gear at this point in the show. That's all I got. I don't know. If you've never seen them perform, they did have to cancel their shows this year because of the pandemic, but try and go see them next year, assuming we're out of Hell World. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Soap by Melanie Martinez. This was the first and only time I've ever had a panic attack in the middle of a concert. In my life, actually.
Were you just fangirling too hard?
No, it came at the end of the show. I don't know what happened. It was another situation kind of like Fall Out Boy. It was shoulder to shoulder. Couldn't even move. At one point, I guess I wore the wrong shoes, and I was that person that took off her shoes in the middle of a concert and just held her boots. So, and I was extreme. I mean, I'm short anyway, but I was much shorter than everyone else. So I don't know if like the air was different higher up, but something happened. I got really, really nauseous, and then I started to get really, really lightheaded, and I uncontrollably started sobbing. Not out of like emotion. I couldn't control like my breathing. And Blue was worried. So he pulled me out and took me to the bar and got me water. And then we decided, I think a song before the concert was over, that we were just going to leave. Great concert, but it came out of nowhere and it was scary as shit to go through.
You're making me feel bad that every concert video I've ever watched where they've got the people in the front that are just bawling their eyes out, you know. Maybe they were having panic attacks.
The funny thing is, I wasn't even like close to the front. I was actually near the back, but I just something wasn't sitting right, and it like triggered something with my breathing, and it's never happened to me since or before that. So I think just the sheer ignorance to the situation kind of scared me.
Gotcha.
So that was the thing. So anyway, Soap by Melanie Martinez. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Gethsemane by Nightwish. This is one of my all-time favorite music groups, and I got to see them live, even though they are Finnish, from Finland. Mm-hmm. So it was great. It was a small venue. I think the same place you went and saw Fall Out Boy is where I saw them. It wasn't quite as packed, and I was able to get right up on stage so that I could fangirl over Tuomas, their piano player.
And you didn't have a panic attack?
No, I did not. I was in seventh heaven. They were amazing live. What I remember about this concert is having to leave because the person that I was with at this concert had a hemorrhoid outbreak.
Oh my God.
It was this tug of war.
I'd rather have a panic attack.
Do we watch the entire show that Shane's waited, 15 years to see? Or do we go let you rest your hemorrhoids?
The hemorrhoids won.
Yes, they did. Eventually, won. I did not get to watch the entire set.
Shane 0, hemorrhoid 1.
And the hemorrhoids were not my fault, by the way.
Okay. So you didn't feel solely responsible for them?
No.
Okay, good.
I had done nothing to create these hemorrhoids.
Okay. We've said hemorrhoid entirely too much this episode.
All right, let's get to the first artist. Who do we have?
The first artist we're going to be, we covered this past week, was Within Temptation.
Had you ever heard of this group before it was drawn?
You showed me Within Temptation. Granted, Granted or Granite? Granted.
Granted.
Okay. I feel like we're revisiting last episode where I was mispronouncing words.
I'm very chill today. I wasn't correcting you. You asked me.
Granted, Within Temptation is a band that you showed me, but I honestly didn't dive deep in their discography, and I'll get to how I feel about it in just a minute. The first album we covered was Mother Earth from 2000. This fell to the bottom for me. I gave it 3 5s. My top track was Our Farewell, and bottom track was Intro.
Yeah. All right, well, we have the same bottom track. I went with Intro.
Okay.
My top was Caged. This fell in the middle for me, and I gave it 7 5s.
The next album is The Silent Force from 2004. This fell in the middle for me.
Okay. I am surprised at that.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
I gave it 4 5s. My top track was Jillian, I'd Give My Heart. My bottom track was Intro.
Okay, again, same bottom track. This album fell to the bottom for me. I gave it 5 5s. And my favorite track was Aquarius. Great song.
Mm-hmm.
Something about this album that bugged me is there is this tug of war within their writing. It seems like the keyboardist and the lead vocalist will write music together, and then sometimes the rest of the band writes a song that they, play into. And this album was primarily the lead vocalist and the keyboardist writing the material, and it was a little dull for me at times.
Okay.
Although I know there are a lot of people who like this band, this is probably their favorite of the discography.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. And I felt very, very strongly about one of these albums. We haven't gotten to it yet.
All right. So what's next?
The Heart of Everything from 2007. This was my runner-up. I gave it 5 5s. My top track was All I Need, and my bottom track was Hand of Sorrow.
Where did this fall for you?
This was my runner-up.
Runner-up, same. I gave it 7 5s. My top track was Our Solemn Hour. My bottom track was Frozen.
Let It Go.
Yeah. Okay. We should go ahead and mention that this group is a Dutch symphonic group.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have no idea what that is, I'm not surprised. But
I got a lot of Eurovision vibes from them.
Yeah.
A lot of metal Eurovision vibes, because they do have that element of like hard hitting, like metal sound.
Yeah, it's like gypsies.
Yeah.
Who
if you see the cover of Mother Earth,
some
you're going to understand.
Guitars and stuff, yeah.
All right. The granddaddy of them all, the album, The Unforgiving from 2011.
Are you sure about this?
I'm positive for me.
Okay.
This was my top album. There are 12 tracks on this album. I gave it 9 5s. My top track was Fire and Ice, and my bottom track was Why Not Me.
Same bottom track. You want to explain why this is your top?
This album, I found out later, which it makes total sense. This album was a story to an illustration. Does that make sense? I think it was like what was it?
Yeah, they wrote the songs around some graphic novels.
Yeah. So it was set to like a book, and you can feel that throughout the album.
Yeah, you hear it.
And I freaking loved the journey that it took me on. And I found myself being like really into these songs and like uncontrollably like just nodding my head and being like, yes.
Yeah. Album is a fucking banger. This
Yes.
was also my top.
Okay.
I gave it 10 5s.
Okay.
And my top track was Faster.
That one's a good one. I literally listened to that one yesterday. I really liked Fire and Ice. Faster was probably my backup. I was really, really torn between those two. I'm when you were like, explain yourself why you love this album. I'm sitting here thinking, all right, he's going to disagree with me. It's so good. I was so surprised, and I told Blue, I was like, Within Temptation, this album.
Yeah, The Unforgiving.
The Unforgiving from 2011. It rules.
So that's what we're saying, is go listen to that album.
Yes.
If you're at all interested in this artist. What's next?
Sorry. I'm over here fangirling about The Unforgiving. Next is Hydra from 2014. This was my second to last.
Same.
It got 3 5s from me.
I gave it 6.
Well, you're more unforgiving than me, I guess.
She's got jokes. Top track.
Top track is Let Us Burn. Bottom track is And We Run.
Well, And We Run was my top track.
Okay.
And my bottom was Paradise, What About Us? And it bugs me to have to admit to that second thing, because Paradise was a collaboration with the ex-lead singer of Nightwish, Tarja Turunen.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as your bottom track goes, being my top, Exhibit is an artist who's featured in that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I like his voice, but I've never been big into the actual music that he makes. Maybe I just haven't listened enough, but what was it about that song?
Well, I'd like to say, yeah, I've never been a fan of Exhibit really either. I didn't think it was a good mesh of the different genres together. That was me personally. I do love the cars he customizes at West Coast Customs. 2000 something reference.
It took me a minute. I was like, are we still talking about music? No, we're not. Okay.
I just didn't think it was a good... There are good mixtures of genres, and there's not. This fell in the not category for me.
Obviously, it throws hip-hop on top of symphonic metal.
Yes.
And I loved it.
Like Post Malone and Ozzy Osbourne's Take What You Want From Me.
Yeah.
That was a good one for me. My dad disagrees, and he's a hater. He can fight me.
I love that too.
I thought that was a good mixture of... God damn it. A good mixture of those two genres. Apparently, Nightwish makes me very passionate because I'm moving my arms a whole lot.
Within Temptation.
Did I say Nightwish?
Yes, you did.
This will be my last episode on Rated Radio next week.
I can understand. I've been talking about Nightwish.
It's okay.
Moving on to the questionnaire.
All right.
What was your weirdest track?
Never Ending Story.
Really?
It promised me something that it wasn't.
Were you thinking about the movie?
Yep.
Oh my God, okay.
Yep. And even the song associated with the movie. It promised me something, and I expected this, I guess, medieval, I don't know. It was a lot of talking and storytelling, but it didn't have a decent melody to go along with it.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
Okay. It wouldn't
100% disagree.
It wouldn't be a Rated Radio episode if we didn't disagree. What was your weirdest track?
My weirdest was The Whole World Is Watching from Hydra. The song features David Pirner, I think, the lead singer of Soul Asylum, the group that did Runaway Train. My problem with this track, I wanted to like it, but it sounds like Christian rock in a bad way. It has that overproduced, way too shiny to be believable metal. Anyway, what was your best title?
A Demon's Fate. You wanted to know what happened?
Yeah.
It's a lot like I guess now I'm trying to remember a past episode.
It's the mix too, because it comes right after Murder.
Yes.
Do you think Murder, A Demon's Fate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that off Unforgiving?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. What was your best title?
I was torn between Ice Queen and Silver Moonlight.
Silver Moonlight was a good one too. I think that was in the running at one point.
What about your worst?
Intro, the second one from Silent Force.
Because they did it twice. What I would have used instead is A Quest Through Temptation. I get that.
Little wordy, but...
Can we talk about how weird it was on Mother Earth that they do an intro track almost at the end of the album?
Was it at the end? I thought it was at the very beginning.
No, that's the other album. Was it? That's the Silent Force.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But I get that it's an intro to the track that's coming up, and that's what they're going for. It just seems a little weird when you're an American who's used to seeing intro as the first song on all these CDs. My worst title was Lost. I would have called it Buried Alive.
That would have been decent. What do you think their strongest element is?
Sharon's voice and the backing opera inclusions in their songs. That's a big part of why I love this group.
I wholeheartedly agree. I said hypnotic vocals, heavy guitar, and orchestra-driven sounds. I mean, I guess not orchestra. Yeah, I meant symphonic orchestra.
And it's heavy guitar. You know, it's a little heavier than rock.
Yeah.
But they don't have this crazy intricate styling or anything. It primarily sounds like rhythm guitar, like rhythm metal guitar that's just brought to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
What was your weakest element?
Storytelling songs that lack a hook.
Okay.
What about you?
I thought that the way they highlighted instruments was a little weird, and they definitely have some weak lyrics in places. Like, oh, it sounds so good, we don't really have to worry about tightening these lyrics, but you really should have. Mm-hmm. And the problem in a lot of places for me is the guitar does sound like a rhythm guitar, and they bring it to the forefront, even when it's a song that was written by the keyboardist and the lead vocalist. And what you really should have done is highlighted that piano, dropped the guitar a little in the mix, but they didn't. So that was the weakest element for me. Who do you think they sound like?
All right, this is a big list. Early albums sound like Evanescence, Tartanic, which is a band that I saw at Scarborough Fair. Tartanic. They are on Spotify.
Tarzan Boy.
Yeah. Not Tarzan Boy.
Baltimore.
Tattoo. And one point, and I know you're probably not going to agree with me, at one point she kind of sounded like Kelly Clarkson in a way.
Yeah.
ABBA, which...
No.
The higher pitched vocals that when she gets higher, and that was like ABBA's style of singing at the time.
You're entitled to your opinion.
I know I am.
This is an opinion show.
I know.
But I think we could scientifically prove that is wrong.
Okay.
You mentioned ABBA alongside Within Temptation.
Aren't they also from the same place? Aren't they both from the Netherlands?
Don't know.
Okay. Later albums, lead singer switched up her voice a little bit, kind of reminded me of Avril Lavigne and Alanis Morissette. What about you?
Well, I thought it sounded like Evanescence meets Nightwish. So you take a track like Imaginary from Evanescence or a track like Come Cover Me from Nightwish, throw them in a blender, and this is what you get. When would you recommend listening to this artist, or how does the music make you feel?
The slower songs make me feel weightless, and the heavier, more guitar-driven songs make me feel like I'm striving.
Striving?
Striving for something, whether it be glory or...
You just feel motivated to do something?
Yeah.
You just kick some ass when you hear it.
Yeah. I was telling Blue that Within Temptation, especially the Unforgiving album, we watch Attack on Titan. It's an anime. That album and this artist would be like a perfect anime soundtrack artist.
Have you played Skyrim?
I haven't.
Well, when you do, put some of this on your headphones.
Okay.
Because that's when I would recommend listening to it.
Okay.
And the music makes me feel like I'm 19 again, in love with a mermaid.
Okay. Were you in love with a mermaid at 19?
Yeah.
Okay.
Desperately. Yeah, I was.
All right. What was your first or best experience with this artist?
Introducing our cousin Megan to the group is definitely my best experience with the artist, because it was one of those rare occasions in life. It reminded me of why I always made people mix CDs, tried to show them new artists. I remember I was always giving your dad tons of CDs as I was coming across new artists throughout my teen years.
For my graduation gift from high school, you gave me an entire hard drive full of all the music that you owned at the time. And that was like, I still use it to this day, and that was one of the best gifts I've ever received.
I've done that for a select few people who are very special to me. So if you got one of those, congratulations.
I'm special.
We don't need them anymore because, Spotify exists.
True, but I still love going. Some of the music on the hard drive isn't on Spotify.
Right.
So, I mean...
Yeah, they're definitely lacking a few things.
Mm-hmm.
But this was one of those moments where I really felt like I introduced someone to their group. Mm-hmm. The group that they thought, maybe you went through life and you liked music, but you didn't feel represented by an artist. Mm-hmm. And I think this really landed squarely for her. Feel free to write me, Megan, if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. So
I think you might have contributed definitely to what was already pre-existing in Megan. I say that only because I just recently found out what her wedding theme is going to be.
Do share, because I don't know this.
Yes, you do. Midsummer Night's Dream.
That's a song?
No, it's a play.
I know it's a play.
It's based off of that.
How can that be a wedding theme?
I mean,
I'm just asking clarifying questions. I'm not.
I don't know. It's like kind of a medieval whimsical vibe. Okay. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be whimsical.
You're saying the theme of the wedding. I'm sitting over here thinking like a musical theme.
No.
The music theme that they walk down the aisle to is this Shakespeare play.
The whole wedding in its entirety is A Midsummer Night's Dream. From what I heard from Sarah, her sister, which it is like almost the exact vibe I would say is like from the first two albums of Within Temptation that we covered.
Yep.
So I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. My first or best experience with this artist, I went with best, and I said the Unforgiving album. I would not see. I'm getting like choked up right now. I wouldn't say that. It just, I don't even know what to say about it.
If you're really into the Marvel films, Guardians of the Galaxy, any of these new live action books that have been adapted from graphic novels, go listen to that album, because you will have this same reaction that she's having right now.
I don't like to be proven wrong very often, but this was one of the best experiences I've ever had at being proven wrong, because I did not think I was going to enjoy Within Temptation, let alone basically a whole album by them.
Yeah, and it's a loose theme for the album, but for some reason it lands. The music could be a soundtrack to any of these films easily.
Mm-hmm. Who would you like them to collaborate with, and what song would you like them to cover?
I said Queensryche. If you listen to a track like Sweet Sister Mary, where they do the opera in the beginning, and that seemed to make sense to me. And then with regard to what song they should cover, I wrote Fuck It by Blaise Moore. I'm kidding. And if you haven't heard it, I'm sorry if that joke didn't land, but
it didn't land.
It's not at all in the vein of what they do. I didn't have an answer here because they released an album called Q Music Sessions where they did a bunch of covers. Mm-hmm. One of those covers is Lana Del Rey's Summertime Sadness, and they turned it into like a dance track. Mm-hmm. I adore that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that they need to cover much else. And if they do, go ahead, because I love their covers. What about you?
Well, Queensryche was actually my runner-up.
Yeah.
I was very torn.
Most underrated group of all time.
I ultimately went with Ozzy Osbourne and his recent song from 2019, Under the Graveyard. I thought that a blend of those two stylings would be nice, kind of like a older, and then a more modern sound, just meshing them together. Anyway, it's funny that you say Lana Del Rey, because the lead singer of Within Temptation, I found out Lana Del Rey is her favorite artist.
Not surprised.
So, what makes this artist seem unique to you?
They have very accessible vocals for a symphonic group. Most of those foreign symphonic metal groups, they do a lot of the male growling all over the place, and the majority of the female vocals will be opera style. This had tinges of that, and they definitely threw it in the background, but her voice is angelic. Mm-hmm. It sounds American. You get the accent every now and then, but she really pushes it forward in a way that's accessible to people. What about you?
I said hypnotic vocals and symphonic production.
Hypnotic.
I was hypnotized, girl. Let me tell you.
I'm not a girl, but
I'm talking to the lead singer, not you. Just because I looked at you doesn't mean I was talking to you.
Yeah, you were looking square in my eyes when you said that shit.
I'm gonna call you girl now.
Well, I say guys to. I think I said it to you and Katie on the last episode. Actually,
I think so. I don't know.
Who cares?
Anyway, I would say Within Temptation is a great artist. Like, think Repo the Genetic Opera. If you're a fan of that, listen to Within Temptation.
Yeah.
How could this artist be most successful in the future?
Ensure that their vocalist and their guitarist write together, and also that they don't write the vocals first. I think you can tell when the vocals were written first, like they had a vocal harmony and some lyrics, and then all the music was written around it, because the guitar sounds completely uninspired to me at those times. What about you?
Well, I don't think yours is going to have a problem, considering they're married and have 3 children.
Do what?
Them making music together?
Yeah.
They're married and have 3 children.
Well, okay.
I found that out too. Anyway.
They must be tired of being around one another then. They need to make it work in the studio, you know?
Yeah. I would play around with more illustrating albums that tell a cohesive story. I think that they do a really good job of...
Boy, do I have a theme album for you later down the line.
I can't wait. Who would you recommend this artist to and why?
People who think the U.S. is the center of the world, because it really isn't. What about you?
I said my dad. He lives for metal songs with...
America!
It's funny that you say that and then I say my dad. He lives for metal songs with medieval inspiration and storytelling. Like that Scarborough Fair, medieval times shit. She eats that up. So I also said this artist would be a great video game soundtrack artist.
You got some notes?
I mentioned them throughout.
Oh, well, okay. Let me just run through mine.
Okay.
Something to know about this group is it's a rare occasion where they are very safe for a family to listen to. So if you want your kids to experience some symphonic stuff outside of classical, you can listen to this group and still bang your head. So that's nice.
I actually introduced Gage to them yesterday. Sorry, Samantha, I didn't get approval first. But I showed him...
That's going to happen.
I showed him the song Faster, and he seemed to be really into it. I also showed him our next artist, and I'll make comments when we get there about next artist. Continue.
The music video for Ice Queen, that one takes me back to the Mermaid days.
Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna have to watch it.
My thing about this artist is I can't hear certain songs. I can't watch this video without feeling like Jay is in the goddamn room.
Okay, because I was gonna say which mermaid are we talking about?
There was only one mermaid.
Okay.
Their track "Stairway to the Skies," the guitar in it sounds like Manson's version of "Sweet Dreams."
Okay.
They worked with Howard Jones, who is the lead singer for Killswitch Engage throughout their most popular era. Go listen to This Fire if you like the track he was featured on. They did work with Tarja Turunen again from Nightwish. Mm-hmm. And you should go listen to her solo work. A track called Our Great Divide is really representative of what she's capable of. It is a little slower. And if you enjoyed Within Temptation, listen to Princess Aurora by Luca Turilli, Fires at Midnight by Blackmore's Night. This is one right here that your dad would absolutely enjoy. All they do is that Scarborough Fair type stuff. And it's it's Richie Blackmore with an acoustic guitar and a lead vocalist that is essentially Sharon. Same difference. But Fires at Midnight by Blackmore's Night, Stars by Lacuna Coil, Last Time by Moonlight by Enya, Deadlocked by Tristania, or Adrenalize by In This Moment.
This Moment was another band that I thought.
If you enjoyed The Unforgiving, listen to Adrenalize. You'll enjoy that other group as well. And this song in particular, I still think it could be a Deftones song. Every time I hear it, I think I want to hear the Deftones redo this track. Anyway, that's all I got.
All right, let's take a break.
I feel so much more relaxed now.
Do you have anything that you want to plug or recommend this week?
Yeah.
Go
but
ahead.
You should go ahead because I just did a lot of talking.
Okay. Well, mine's going to be short and sweet. I am going to be recommending the song God Gave Rock and Roll to You by Kiss from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. 2 reasons why I want to highlight this song. First reason, Bill and Ted Face the Music came out on Friday. I have yet to see it. I'm kind of nervous to see it. My dad watched it. I have to follow up with him to see if it's worth my time.
So you don't even know what he thought of it yet.
I haven't yet. I'm scared it's just going to piss me off, but he's usually a good gauge of whether or not I'm going to enjoy it. Any man that can enjoy Swiss Army Man, I'm on the same page with him. So
that is such a good movie.
It is. Okay, but this isn't about Swiss Army Man. I'm highlighting this song for a second reason. Recently, my brother, who I love with all my heart, has stopped speaking to me for the stupidest of all reasons. We have since came back together and reconnected, and this song takes me back to being 9 years old, watching Bill and Ted, and pretending that we are the Wild Stallions as kids. I was always Ted, because I don't fuck around.
Weedle.
I just wanted to tell my brother I love him and I miss you and it's good to have you back. So that's the reason why it gets my suggestion this week. It's also a good song. If you've ever watched that movie, it hits differently when you watch that movie.
My eye itched. I wasn't crying.
You're what?
You gave me a look. I was scratching my eye. I wasn't crying.
He was crying.
It's so emotional in here.
What's yours for this week?
No plug? Nothing? Are you kind of plugged? Is that what you're... Are you wanting to wait? Switching back and forth?
No.
What's going on here?
Hopeless Oceans comes out September 7th.
God. Okay.
I'm going to order it. And if you have any sense at all or an ounce of any intelligence, you will too.
I don't ask her to do this.
No, he doesn't.
Just to be clear.
He doesn't.
My recommendation for the week, for a song, my song of the week, is Hell by Clowncore. This is a song I know from YouTube and just happened to realize last night that they're now on Spotify.
Oh, God.
Just wanted to share the ridiculousness. And both of my things in this little section will be on our YouTube mentions playlist. There's no way you would hear this and be interested in listening. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. My plug for the week is Rodney Norman on YouTube for his video, This Will Make You Feel Better, because it really did make me feel better. And I wanted to apologize to him. I'm sorry if you thought I was dissing you with my post. Also, thanks for being the only person to like my sharing of your video, even if it is wonderfully awkward that you essentially liked your own video.
I would like to say I love/hate Codes for what he has done to me this past week. You know, I messaged you throughout the week.
Cocaine Country Dance.
Don't look at me like that. First of all,
you watched the video yet?
I watched the video. I watched it with Blue and he loved it. He thought it was hilarious. I was dying laughing. But not only that, other songs by this artist, I got like, what's his name? Paul
Cawthon?
Paul Cawthon. I got Johnny Cash meets Waylon Jennings, just a lot of different artists, but he's so goofy. But the way he sings his other songs, like his slower songs, I freaking loved it. And I was telling Blue, I was like, where has this dude been all my life? So not only just Cocaine Country Dancing, which that's a whole nother level of hype. I cannot even tell you. But Paul Cawthon. If you don't
understand the appeal, we can't be friends.
Oh, it's a good thing that I understand the appeal and we're friends because I freaking loved him. So anyway, yeah. Thanks, Codes. I really appreciate you showing me Paul Cawthon. Well, actually, showing Shane and then showing me Paul Cawthon.
This is why he's in my life, because he always brings the ridiculous shit.
I love it. Let's move on.
Tool.
What'd you just call me?
Tool.
Let's get to our first album that we covered. It's Undertow by
Tool.
Undertow from 1993. This was my runner-up. It got 3 5s. My top track was Sober. My bottom track was Disgustipated.
Yeah.
And
that's how it's pronounced, I do believe.
And my reasoning behind it being on my bottom is it's a talk track, but there's 8 minutes of ringing at the end of the song. And that sound was made, I found out later, by smashing pianos and shotguns with sledgehammers.
How cool.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have bottom tracks. Did I forget to mention that? This is Tool.
This is rated radio and I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Okay. So this was also my runner-up. I gave it 4 5s out of the 10 tracks. My top track was Swamp Song. My bottom track was also Disgustipated.
All right.
Moving right along to Aenima from 1996. I gave it 5 5s. My top track remains 46 and 2. And my bottom track was Ions or Negative Ions or...
Yeah.
Multiply, subtract ions, whatever the fuck they're getting at here.
Okay. And where did it fell in your ranking?
Oh, it was my top pick. So something to note about the Tool experience is it completely fucked my rating system.
Agreed.
Everything I thought was happening flew right out the goddamn window when we got to this artist.
Agreed.
And I think we should talk about why once we get through the albums.
Well, this album would have been my top album, but because of how many tracks it was and how many talk or noise tracks was on it, it fell to my middle. And
it's almost half of the tracks on the CD, right?
Yes, and it severely pissed me off because as I was listening to these albums, I knew that one was going to be, as soon as I went through it, I knew that one was going to be my top album. But just for sheer numbers' sake, it fell to my middle. I gave it 6 5s. My top track was also 46 and 2. And my bottom track was, let me go ahead and apologize to the Germans in the back, Die von Satan.
So while you have already gone ahead and butchered that, so I don't have to say it later, that song sounds like Korn's Twisted Transistor to me.
Really?
Yeah. Listen to it again and then go and listen to the guitar riff for that track and you'll see what I'm talking about.
The English translation to that is The Balls of Satan. which I could have just said, but apparently I like to complicate my life.
Is this the album with Hooker with a penis?
Yep.
Next up, we've got Lateralis from 2001. This was my middle pick. I gave it 4 5s. My top track was Schism. Bottom track was Mantra.
I'm just now realizing.
Or Mantra if you're American.
Had I not stuck to our rating system and I had gone with Where Things Fell, we so far would have had the same lineup.
So you abandoned the rating system?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
That was my thing. Did you?
No, I let it run its course. My purchase value is what determined where everything ranked.
See, and I should have did the same thing. Anyway, this album, the Lateralis, it was my top album. I gave it 4 5s. So again, it got less 5s than the previous album. I gave it 4 5s. My top track was Schism. My bottom track was Mantra.
Same thing. I dig it.
Yeah.
Next up is 10,000 Days from 2006. This was my next to last pick. I swear to God, every time I mention my ranking, it's still blowing my mind. Because again, this artist fucked my brain in every way possible, including here when we're ranking. I gave it 4 5s. My top track was Vicarious. My bottom track was Intention.
This was also my second to last. I gave it 1 5. My top track was The Pot.
Yes.
My bottom track was Lipan Conjuring, which is essentially just a track of a conjuring of some sort of ritual.
I agree, and it was followed by is this where Harry Manback is? There's I can't think of
a message to
something. I know that your bottom track was followed by I think someone going to the hospital. So it was very thematic. I felt that they really worked their way up to what they were doing. If nothing else, I mean, we are dissing a lot the talk tracks.
Yeah.
Which these ratings might sound kind of bad, but when you think about the fact that most of the albums have 10 or 11 songs on them on average, and a good portion of them are these short noise tracks, yeah, you're not going to get that many 5s.
Yeah. I don't know anyone that goes into buying an album for a talk track or for a noise track, or you're going there for the songs, and if half of them are noise and talk tracks, you're not necessarily going to feel like you've gotten your money's worth.
Yeah. And while I rarely feel those sorts of tracks, I'm at least glad when they separate them. So I can just skip it and get right to the track that I want to hear.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to 2019's Fear Inoculum.
This was my bottom.
Same.
It got 0 5s.
I gave it 4.
Well, you're nicer than me, always. My top track was Invincible. My bottom track was Chocolate Chip Trip.
See, I remember really disliking that track when I first heard it, when the album came out. But the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy the drums. And I have a feeling that's going to be the case for a lot of Tool's music, that it will slowly grow on me more and more. This album was my bottom pick. I did give it 4 5s. My bottom track was Mocking Beat, the bird. I can't do it. I hate when people put birds in songs. Can't stand it. And then my top track was Tempest, or Seven Tempest, whatever you're going for. And I have to say, I had heard it before. I've heard it numerous times, but I cannot stop listening to that track. Tempest is stellar.
Keep in mind, from the previous album, the 10,000 Days in 2006, to the Fear Inoculum album, there's a 13-year difference. So this album, Fear Inoculum, was highly, highly anticipated. Like, Tool's following is rather large, and they have some diehard fans that were waiting for this album. So,
and it does fit their sound. It's not as though the sound changed to a large degree. They are still doing what they do, and they're great at what they do. This album does come across more like meditation music. Some of the songs are just way too long. That sort of thing can be interesting, but it can also be like sniffing your own farts.
My thing about Tool, and I hope this doesn't piss anybody off or nobody in my family disowns me. Tool's sound has not changed, but the world around them has, in my opinion. And I appreciate a lot of their music, but I don't think as a whole that they're really relevant anymore. Oh my God, I'm going to hell.
I'm scared to talk.
I know. I'm just going to let everybody hate me. I don't dislike Tool. There's a lot of their songs are really, really good. And I know they're touching on the whole traveling through the inner depths of your own mind and
it's very cerebral.
Yeah. And I mean that's their shtick, which I don't see anything wrong with that. I just think as far as like most people don't want to listen to music like that nowadays.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to be in a special sort of mood to listen to these tracks from Tool.
Yeah. Let's go through our questionnaire. And no, don't worry about it, Rayburn. I think there are plenty of positives here. And if you think this is a negative review of Tool, especially from me, you're misunderstanding. And just stick around because I want you to get my full spectrum of opinion. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the questionnaire. What was your weirdest track?
Chocolate Chip Trip.
Yeah? Yeah. I bet your dad would really enjoy that track.
I loved the title. I really, really did enjoy the title.
But so it set an expectation for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was Rosetta Stoned. I don't remember why off the top of my head.
Okay.
So a lot of this bleeds together pretty well. But anyway, what was your best title?
Hooker with a Penis.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Hooker with a Penis.
Yeah, I agree completely. What about your worst?
Useful Idiot.
Really?
It's not necessarily, I don't know.
It's a good title, but you wanted more than what you got out of the
song. I would have picked Wasted Space. I was disappointed with the song.
My pick was Lost Keys. Blame Hoffman is the other portion of that. Lost Keys, Blame Hoffman.
Got it.
And what I would have called it is Too High to Make Music.
Okay.
Strongest Element.
Tool. Their ability to stay true to their vision for their music.
This is the same thing you said about another artist who I won't mention because we talk about them too much, right?
If you're talking about the Beatles, I never said that.
No. Our very first episode. Remember? Katie just accused us of y'all talk about this group all the time.
Oh, Radiohead. But
don't forget to bring a towel. I'm just giving you hell. I feel like that's what you say when you don't have anything great to say.
Okay. Essentially, God, and I'm just sticking my foot in my mouth on this. Essentially, when I say things like that, I think it's admirable when bands stick to their shtick.
Say that 5 times
stick
fast.
To their shtick. Stick to their shtick. I think it's admirable that they stay true to themselves, even though it's not necessarily what society is asking for. They just tell people, fuck off. We're going to do what we want to do, regardless of how much money we make. Because it's a form of art to them.
I think there are a lot of people in our society who are begging for that sort of thing. They're not us.
Yeah.
But they are there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not necessarily, I don't say that when there's nothing nice to say about a band. That's not true. I'm just saying, I think it's an admirable quality that they have.
Well, my answer for Strongest Element was that fucking bass. Oh, my damn. Okay. I could listen to the motherfucking bass forever. Throw it in any group, anywhere you want, and I'm going to listen. I'm down.
Yeah.
Yes. What was your weakest element?
Repetitive guitar riffs and vocal style. If I have to...
Oh.
And it's like that. It's like that too much. I almost even appreciated Chocolate Chip Trip just because it was something that was so different. But I don't want to hear talk tracks and noise tracks as breaks. Give me a change of style. Give me something that's a little bit different from that. Similar guitar riff. And I'm saying guitar, not bass. I did appreciate the bass.
Yes.
Similar guitar riff and the similar vocal styles. Not to say I hate on Maynard. He has a vision, but it gets repetitive, especially when listening to 5 albums back to back.
I used to get really high and listen to Pink Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And I think while I might want to try this with this group, if I, we're still that person who got high, but the amount of those noise tracks that I could just do away with, I think would ruin the experience for me.
Okay.
My answer for weakest element was the meandering sound layering. It's essentially what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
The music is very cerebral. It requires a lot of patience for the payoff. An example for me is take Pink Floyd's One of These Days.
Mm-hmm.
If you went and listened to that song and just imagine that they had purposely made it twice as long, it's essentially a Tool song.
See, and one of the things that I thought about today when I was going back and listening to some Tool this morning, like literally right before you got here, I wanted a refresher. One of the things that I appreciate about them is their writing style. And I didn't mention that before because it wasn't written down on my paper, but I wanted to. I appreciate their writing. And I'm not typically the person that pays attention to the lyrics of a song. That's more your territory. I'm more about the melody and hook, and so I don't often listen to lyrics. Trust me, I got in trouble with Lee Brice.
Yeah, you can't win for losing. When you do pay attention, I think it's bad.
So
get out of the family.
Yeah, I'm not invited to any more Thanksgivings or Christmas because of my review of Lee Brice. Who do you think that they sound like?
This was easy for me.
Okay.
It clicked almost instantly. It's Chevelle. Specifically, Chevelle having an existential crisis.
Okay.
If you want a good go-between to hear what I'm talking about, listen to Shot from a Cannon by Chevelle. There's a type of person that will love what Tool does, but they don't have the patience to really sit through all of the sound layering. That type of listener would be much more inclined to love Chevelle. And contrarily, if you've heard a lot of Chevelle, love the sound, but you wish it was more complex, that maybe it had some deeper meanings in places. I sound like I'm knocking Chevelle, and that should not be the case. This is my wife's favorite.
I was going to say, isn't
group.
that your wife's favorite band?
Yeah. But I think it's interchangeable. If you meet someone who absolutely hates Chevelle because they want more out of it, they're really going to appreciate Tool.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I said a couple. I said Rise Against the Machine, Korn, which Shane had already said earlier, Alice in Chains, and Chevelle was my fourth. So when would you listen to them, and how does the music make you feel?
I think you should listen to this group when you're fucking a crazy person, like when you're having sex with a crazy person. And the music makes me feel like I'm the crazy person.
Okay.
What about you?
I said when traveling to the depths of your own imagination and forced to see your own inner darkness.
I'm thinking of the boat trip from Willy Wonka right now instead of reading the sheets.
Oh, man. Oh, whoa. God. Now I'm just thinking about it.
What was your first or best experience with Tool?
First experience, and this was a doozy, let me tell you, watching the Sober music video.
Yeah.
Which, when
creepy as fuck.
It's a claymation music video, and I remember one part specifically where this claymation zombie-looking motherfucker opens this pipe, and through the pipe are like intestine entrails, and I remember thinking, whoa, okay, this is some shit. I might need to stop watching this.
Yeah, Schism is the one
where the little dudes are hanging off the main dude's face.
Yeah, you just have to go watch these videos. Yeah. There's something else.
It's like, it reminds me of D'Antwoord. You need to be in a special sort of place in order to fully appreciate these music videos. My
best experience with Tool was listening to Schism with Corey while we would drive back and forth from Justin to Crom on 156 when we were young. Mm-hmm. But what's funny is Joseph was around my entire life. Katie's husband, mm-hmm. Joseph. And my cousin Corey was always there. They all always had Tool CDs, but I don't remember hearing much of any of this music when I was young. And when Corey went and
never played it.
Yeah. Like you'd hear the same 2 or 3 songs. And when Corey had this CD, he went out and bought it just for this song. And it was the only song he ever played. And it was just on repeat. And I didn't mind because it's one of their best.
They're good one. Like a lot of their hits, the ones that got popular, they're good. I enjoy listening to them on multiple occasions. It's just the albums as an entirety kind of screw me. Anyway, who would you like this artist to collaborate with?
I said Kevin Moore. Again, that's the guy who is the lead writer, Chroma Key. Mm-hmm. He's the ex-keyboardist for Dream Theater. I just think having that piano element and what they're doing, if you ever listen to Chroma Key, is very similar. I think it would fit well. And the song I would want them to cover, or the song I would want Tool to cover, is Chicken Attack by the Gregory Brothers.
Okay.
Hear me out.
Okay.
It's over too fast. And if anyone could solve that fucking problem, it's Tool.
With an 8-minute noise section in a song. I said, had their lead singer not passed away a couple of years ago, I said Soundgarden or Korn. I think it would be kind of cool.
I dig it.
Anyway, what makes this artist seem unique?
The Indian fusion to the prog metal that they make. And this is prog metal, by the way. It's progressive metal. You're going to get some very neat time shifts, some things you aren't anticipating, some things you may not even notice that are just so trippy. And that's why they do the sound layering that they do. But the way that they throw in a lot of the Indian-based, listen to, I think it's about a minute into the title track for Fear Inoculum. And that part where the Indian instruments start to come in, I swear it's the music when I'm sitting in Kebab and Curry, which is my favorite restaurant. So
why'd you have to bring up Kebab and Curry knowing you can't readily have it?
My fucking mom keeps saying she wants us to go get some.
Drive all the way to Richardson to go get Kebab and Curry?
Well, she works out there.
Yeah, but
so we would just...
it to you, it'd be cold.
My neurologist's office is out there too.
Oh.
And unfortunately, it's the only time in my life I've ever been upset that I didn't... I had a phone call instead of getting to drive to Richardson, so I couldn't go get my shit. I've not had Kebab and Curry in, I don't know, 7-8 months now.
Yeah, we didn't take full advantage of going to Kebab and Curry when you lived in Richardson, and I fully regret it because you will not... Like, usually we go get sushi. Like, that's like our thing that we do. Sushi or pizza.
I like to joke that if I were ever single, I would move to the mountains and be a mountain man. No. If I'm being realistic, my fat ass is going to move to Richardson because that's where my food is. What about you?
I said how they seem unique to me is the eeriness of their melodies. Again, you got to be in a special sort of place, which I'm beginning to think that Tool and Within Temptation might have sparked my early Halloween decorating, like subconsciously. So I said the eeriness of their melodies. How could Tool be most successful in the future?
Dial it in, practice brevity, condense it a little bit, and let the vocals shine. Jesus Christ. You've got a fantastic lyric writer, and I know he controls a lot of this, so the music is exactly what he wants it to be. But why would you hide that the way that it's done? It's so baked into the layers that I get that you have to listen to a song 100 times and you're still hearing something new every time you listen. Mm-hmm. But you don't want the vocals to be one of those things. Anyway, what'd you say?
I said only because their following is such an intense fandom of following. I said, keep making music and not take a 13-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Give the people what they're asking for, especially the people that you're trying to identify with. Give them what they're asking for, and I don't think it will be your success will be a problem.
Right. I think some of that break, by the way, had to do with the creation of A Perfect Circle. Mm-hmm. Maynard taking more time to focus on that group.
Yes.
Maybe I didn't actually look at the history here.
He also started a wine company at that time. So he had yeah, dude. I
am on this guy's level.
Yeah. He has like a vineyard and a bunch of different types of wines. One which he named after his mom, which Judith, their song, is named after his mom, as well as the song about Marie.
Yeah.
Her name's Judith Marie. Sad story, which if you want to hear about it, you can find that story anywhere. But yeah, sad story about Maynard's mother. Who would you recommend this artist to and why?
I'd recommend this artist to aspiring musicians because their influence has made many, many famous groups. This is one of the most influential music artists of all time. Mm-hmm. There is a damn good reason for it. Mm-hmm. You just might have to dig to find out why on occasion.
Yeah, I think those artists that have taken inspiration from Tool and have taken it to places that Tool either chooses not to go or just doesn't want to. I think that they've done a lot of good work, but they are the core of a lot of successful music acts. And just for that, I don't want to discredit any of their art that they've put out there.
Yeah.
So.
And this music is art.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just a listening experience. They are going for art.
Mm-hmm. I said I would recommend this artist to anyone wishing to explore their inner creep. So, do you have any?
You were really off put by some of this, huh? Creeped you out?
I mean, not necessarily creeped me out. Like I said, Tool will take you to a place in your head that either you wish to go, or it's going to take you somewhere. You have to be prepared for where it takes you, because everybody wrestles with their own inner demons, and I think that Tool makes you face that at the forefront.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to or not. Some people are equipped to handle it, some people aren't. But you have to know that going in, whether or not you can handle.
For optional discussion topics, I wanted to touch on how difficult it was how much I struggled with my opinion of this artist, because it's mostly positive. It may sound negative, but that's because part of what we've set up here is the ability to critique what we're hearing in ways that let listeners know, I probably don't want to listen to that, or maybe I do. But when you looked at the critical reception, everybody sucks this artist's dick. I mean, they just...
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I was so nervous about I didn't hate them. I mostly liked them, but any critique that I had about them, I was scared for what the masses were going to do to me.
Well, the thing about it is I can't blame their fan base for being rabidly defensive of this band, because when you go to somewhere like Amazon, it's tons of 5-star reviews for these albums, but every now and then you will see the 1-star. Mm-hmm. And the 1-star is so hyperbolic. This sucks completely. I hated this. This was the worst thing I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. There's no way in hell that's true.
Yeah.
There's just no nuance to either side of the spectrum that I'm seeing. I think the only time in my life that I've actually heard a nuanced opinion of Tool is from Codes.
Yeah.
It's in one of their episodes. You know, the funny thing is I planned to not mention them at all this week.
Well, I already kind of brought them up, so you can blame me. I already talked about Codes.
Well, I think Austin might really like Tool. I have a sneaking suspicion that is the case.
Yeah.
And if you are a Radiohead fan, you will love what this artist does, because again, they are art. They're artful. Mm-hmm. They're cerebral. Mm-hmm. The music is meant to make you think and take you places that other music will not.
Yeah. So quickly, or do you have any other discussion?
I do, but go ahead.
Well, I'm curious to know, so which band fell to the top for you? Which one?
It was Within Temptation.
Within Temptation ranked above Tool for me as well.
This, again, I think is primarily based on the fact that Tool's albums have fewer tracks, and a handful of those tracks will always be the noise tracks that don't really rank very high. And I think if it wasn't for the Unforgiving, these artists might have been on the same page, in spite of the fact that Within Temptation had many more tracks on most of their albums. You know what I mean?
Go. Yeah. No, I got you.
It's when I think about it, when I think about the music in general, and I think about just the highlights that the groups bring to the table, there are more cons for Within Temptation for me. But they did get more 5s, so they take my win. Mm-hmm. And I don't regret saying that, because their music is far more accessible. And if I am personally going to sit down and listen to some music, I want it to be accessible 90% of the time.
Yeah.
We already talked about A Perfect Circle being related to Tool. Their lead singer-songwriter formed that other group. I think what that group does is they're tighter in their songwriting. They don't meander as much. The vocals are more in your face. Go listen to my favorite track by that group is Still the Hollow, very first track from the very first CD. And that might help too if Tool is just not your cup of tea. Another thing is that if they put a greatest hits album out, as much as it sounds like we've been negative with regard to Tool and they didn't take the win, if they had a greatest hits CD, even if it was double disc, I think it would be one of the greatest hits albums of all time.
They could do that during their next hiatus.
They could. And again, it's an artful artist, so I know they're never going to do that, but still.
Up until recently, they I think they still are, so I don't know how they're on Spotify. They're against streaming services because they want their albums to be listened to in entirety rather than you being able to pick and choose your favorite songs from each album, because it is art and they're wanting you to consume their art an album at a time.
Yeah. And there are a lot of musicians who've put out, when we used to have CDs, you'd have lots of silence and then a hidden track.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know there's a point on one of the vinyl albums that they put out, or one of the noise tracks specifically was meant to mimic a record player.
Yeah.
So it was fucking with people's heads. Yep. And yeah, like some of that you're just never going to be able to recapture. It's lost because we're in the digital age. You can read about it. You can buy a record player and go hear all that stuff for yourself. But don't hold yourself back from moving into the future, because you've still got listeners who are hungry for what you do with good reason.
By the way, the Lateralis album is beautiful on vinyl.
Yeah.
That vinyl, the body and the colors, it's printed on the vinyl album itself.
Oh, that's neat.
So freaking pretty. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Their album art evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like you could see which album was next in line just by looking at the art. If you were paying close attention to what they were doing with like fractals and that sort of geometric art.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciated that even though I didn't care for some of the noise tracks, the cover art was always represented on the album.
Yeah.
There's a specific point on all of their CDs where you are listening to the CD and you're looking at the album cover and you know that's it. That's where the inspiration for this came from. And you don't get that with every artist.
Don't do shrooms and listen to this artist, okay? I just for your own safety.
Is that how you listen to this artist?
No, thank God. I don't even think I would be here today if that was the case.
Just keep some water on hand. You'll be fine.
Don't do shrooms. Don't do shrooms, kids.
All right. So I'm going to blow through this next part, lest anything be confused with regard to my opinion.
Okay.
So I had some notes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking when I heard Fear Inoculum in its entirety that the majority of the album was an exercise in self-indulgence. And again, that can be great, but it can also be like sniffing your own farts. You know, you might enjoy it, but that doesn't mean that everyone else is going to. So I do wish they would dial it in spite of really, really liking a lot of what this group brings to the table. And their fives are very strong fives. They're also very long songs. So to get fives to begin with, you know, they've got to be doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
If I got 2 minutes into a good song and then it just started to taper off, you know, it's not going to get a 5 now. I would say that while they do prog metal, if you're looking for progressive that more meets what I like, listen to Dream Theater. Also, the inclusion of Bill Hicks.
Yes.
In that track, that was great.
The whole, not Undertow, what was after Undertow? Aenima? That's not how you pronounce it, but that's all I kept reading it as.
Aenima. Supposed to be a...
It's a tribute to Bill Hicks, who was a comedian in the late 90s.
Yeah, I just meant the name of the album is it's a combination of Enema and Aenima, or Enema and Aenima.
They love double entendres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some similarities that I heard. The song Bottom, for me, was similar to Lamb of God's Omerta. And also, that same song, Bottom, reminded me of Liar by the Rollins Band. And you couldn't really get two tracks that are more opposite. But there you go.
That contributes to your multi-layering comment earlier.
Yep. Disgustipated, there was a lot of talking in it that just immediately made me think of Primus. And some of the sound also reminded me of Primus. But go listen to My Name is Mud and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, I cannot escape this song.
It's not perfect. It's not a perfect representation of Disgustipated.
Blue's parents are obsessed with that song.
I chose it for the bass. His parents are obsessed with that song?
I think so. Yeah, My Name is Mud.
I thought you were complaining about me.
No. Blue's parents for like 5 solid weeks, they were just like, have you heard My Name is Mud? Have you heard My Name is Mud? And we're just like, yeah, we heard it the first time we suggested it. So, but they just kept bringing it up.
Their song Pneuma sounds a lot like their song Schism. And also, the guitar reminded me of Eminem's Lose Yourself.
Okay.
Go back and listen, and you'll hear it. I wanted to address one of the comments that we got this week, which was from my sister Laura, who claimed she would have no musical opinion of any sort, and yet here she is with musical fucking opinions.
Can I say she was the one that I was scared to disappoint this week after her comment.
I don't really remember her even talking about Tool in daily life or ever purposely playing a Tool song, and maybe this is just something she keeps under wraps for herself, but
maybe that's Tool fans in general. Maybe they're just fans and they never actually listen to any of their music.
Maybe. But what she wrote when we did the post about which artist should win and why, she said no one could top Maynard for her lyrically. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would throw in there is, this is a music show. I'm not reading poetry. I think if I was reading poetry, it might be one thing. Or if I read the lyrics as poetry, then there might be an argument to be had here. But we're also looking at the music and the choices in mixing. And
Maynard, I'm speaking to you directly. Come out with a poetry collection.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Billy Corgan did it. Jewel did it.
Wouldn't that be something that he could that could be another side project that he does that a lot of people would take advantage of?
Yeah.
Okay, I want 25% of whatever you make off the poetry collection.
So the thing for me, and what I wrote down here was Chicken Stew by System of a Down.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to hear it to know the lyrics can be, what am I trying to say? Some of Tool's lyrics amount to what you hear in Chicken Stew, but they're treated by everyone I know who loves Tool as intellectual gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't question the depth of this art, but I don't understand why when I get the same sort of lyrics in Chicken Stew, but nobody ever comes to me and says, oh, how dare you criticize Chicken Stew or laugh at what you're hearing? Like, I'm listening to a song called Hooker with a Penis.
How deep can this possibly be?
And it is deep, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Well, we've touched on the fact that their followers they're very passionate.
Yeah.
About I say blindly following Tool in their vision.
I don't think it's blind. I think that there really are people out there who hate this group so much that they push people in that direction. Like, I have to be defensive. And I don't want to do that to my sister. Unfortunately, I don't agree with your opinion. I love lyrically what they bring to the table, but for my money, I think Thrice is lyrically superior. Listen to a song like Death from Above, and if you enjoy Tool's cerebral depth and you want to hear more things like that, try Vice Versa by Fair to Midland, and Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 by Coheed and Cambria, Me, I'm Not by Nine Inch Nails. If you want some other example or another example of how they build sound, you want to hear that done in a way that's similar, there's a track called Krig's Yalder by Hylung. There is a video for this that you have to see. They do everything with like these natural in the woods type instruments. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, because it would for me feel like a missed opportunity if I didn't talk about Passenger by the Deftones, which features Maynard.
Okay.
And another hot take here for Tool fans to really get upset with me. I've known some people who claim that Tool is the best sex music ever, right? It's what they listen to when they do the deed.
Person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could listen to it, but again, for my money, it's Deftones.
Okay. We're not going to be invited to, I hope you're ready to have Christmas with just me and you, because we're not going to be invited to any Christmas or Thanksgiving events here on out.
I tried to give the honesty at the outset that
I did too.
This group has really, really strong fives. I think they deserve to be looked at as one of the most experimental, successful,
influential,
yes.
Yeah.
They deserve that spot. That other group, who shall not be named, I did not feel that way about towards the end.
Okay.
There was quality throughout this discography, which did not falter for me. They always brought the pain. And to know that they started in 93, and that's when Sober came out, right?
Yeah.
And then to release a track like Tempest in 2019, that's fucking, I can't even do math right now.
Like, 93, 99, that's 16 years? No.
No, add
10. 26 years.
26 years later.
I'm not the strongest at math.
You're the one who gave the correct answer, so.
Well, yeah, but second try.
26 years later. And they still knocked something out of the park in a way that I would probably put above sober.
Wow.
I don't know. This band completely wrecked my rating system.
Mm-hmm.
It fucked my head in so many ways. I couldn't find an objective measure to actually explain how I felt about the music because they are phenomenal.
Oddly enough, I think that Tool succeeds in everything that they're trying to do. They want to smash your general norm and the way that you view your rating scale or all the structure that you base everything off of. They succeed in demolishing and making you kind of rethink a lot of your standpoints on things.
Yeah, and they obviously don't need routine listeners like us because they have a fanatic base of followers. So I'll just stick to Chevelle.
All right.
Thrice, Deftones, Dream Theater. And
yeah.
That's where I'll be. But I do love this artist.
Yeah.
I was very happy to actually sit down and listen to their discography because I had never done that.
Agreed.
Fear Inoculum was the only one that I had listened to in its entirety before now. And holy shit, I found some music that I'm going to listen to for the rest of my life.
All right. Let's move on to the second half of our list.
What you got?
Number 6 for my top 10 songs that I've seen performed live is Detroit Rock City by Kiss. At the very beginning of that show, I grew up watching Kiss my entire life with my dad. Very first song, Kiss drops their giant curtain that say their logo. Flames shoot out into up into the atmosphere. And my dad gives me massive amounts of shit because I told him this and I shouldn't have told him. I got teary-eyed in that moment. When that happened, I had a moment of clarity. Like, I cannot believe I'm seeing Kiss
make fire
live. And I've seen performances of when they were younger and people would say they were in their prime.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same show. You come for flames. You come for blood. You come for Gene Simmons being thrown up in the air on a freaking tightrope and standing on a platform that's 30 feet in the air. And he gives you that. They give you that.
I think your dad being who he is, you've probably been to way, way more concerts than I have.
I wouldn't say that.
Have you ever experienced something truly atrocious?
I don't know. Define truly atrocious.
What's the worst live band you've ever seen?
Oh, God. Why you got to do this to me now?
A topic for another time. How about that?
There you go. Okay.
All right. My 6th pick was Lost Not Forgotten by Dream Theater. My boss at the time, William, gave me tickets to this concert when I wasn't expecting them. We got to sit really close to the stage because he buys great tickets. That's who he is. And for me, it was really difficult to know who to focus on stage because there is so much talent there that is constantly being utilized, which is very odd because there feels like so much space in what they're doing, yet they're all just going nonstop. I've never seen anything like that, and I don't think I ever will again. From the guitars to the drums to the bass, the vocalist sounded just like he did on the albums. I don't know. It was a really good experience for me, but also another concert that I had to leave early. So,
was it the hemorrhoids again?
No, it was not the hemorrhoids. I think somebody just wanted to beat traffic, and yeah, that's my life.
Our hemorrhoid counter is like doubling as the episode moves on.
Hemorrhoid.
My next song was Death of a Bachelor from the Panic at the Disco concert. I got tickets to that concert for your wife's birthday. I kept looking at you, though, the entire time, wondering what you thought. Although you fully appreciated when Brendan Urie played I Can't Make You Love Me.
Yeah, I liked...
the piano.
What's the other one? They did the...
9 in the Afternoon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like that song, but they did a Queen cover.
Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, in my opinion, I mean, it's not Freddie Mercury, but it definitely does it some justice. I am not a fan of the is it Adam Levine? No. Adam Levine? Whoever they got to be the front man for Queen. Now, he used to be on American Idol. Anyway.
I think it is.
They got him, and I am severely disappointed with his performance of Mercury songs.
Hot takes.
I would put Brendan Urie at the forefront of that band, but I'm not the boss. So anyway, Death of a Bachelor, Panic at the Disco. I cried. My boyfriend sings this song to me. I say sings this song to me. He sings it, and it reminds me of him. And so I cried when Brendan Urie performed this slowed down version walking through the crowd in concert.
I think that's where I really got into that artist too. Because of the
Sinatra
vibes.
crooner.
Yeah.
Yes. He's got such a good range. Like he can go from deep voice crooner to that, so which he does entirely too much in concert. I will agree.
Yeah.
We get that you can do it. So anyway, Death of a Bachelor by Panic at the Disco. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Cry of the Blackbirds by Amon Amarth. This is a Viking metal band that I saw live at a dive bar in San Antonio with both of my brother-in-laws. Stayed at a hotel while we were down there. And let me just say, we got our money's worth. There was a giant line before the show and they weren't letting people in, but there was a gay bar across the street. So me and my brothers go over to this gay bar.
Yeah.
And just got semi-trashed. And it was wonderful. When I worked at the bowling alley, I was afraid to go in. I had been to some gay bars, and I'm not homophobic in any way. I remember working at the bowling alley, and the closeted people would come in from the church, and the guys were always at the bar trying to, get my phone number, and it put me off. I didn't know if that's what I should anticipate walking into that bar, but we had a great time.
Yeah.
More in line with what I would expect in day-to-day life. I'm rambling. Anyway, we got drunk at this bar.
Okay.
And we could tell they were starting to let people in, so we went back over thinking, okay, well, we'll probably stand around forever and wait on this. This little dive was packed.
Yeah.
And it was little. It's probably twice the size of this room that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Packed. So there's no pit. It was like your other concert experience where you just are in a tight space, confined. This group did their entire new album that was out at the time, played it from start to finish. Oh, that's probably an hour and a half. Then they took a break and we went and got pizza and we came back. And then they did essentially a greatest hits show. It was just them. And this is the very last song that they played.
Mm-hmm.
You would have trouble imagining that they could keep pace.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys look like Vikings. Giant, muscular gingers with beards.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And there's an idiot that got on stage at one point and he's jumping around like Goofus. And he tried to run at their lead guitarist. And the dude just lifted his leg and booted the motherfucker into the crowd. I saw people get earrings ripped out of their ears and their noses at this show.
Good God.
Yeah. Now, the majority of people were not that crazy. It was a very nice show.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
It wouldn't be a concert without a couple of crazies.
Yeah. I would go back in a heartbeat. I would take that long ass drive just to see them again. They were that good. Cry of the Blackbirds by Amon Amarth. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Telephone Line by Electric Light Orchestra. Don't even look at me like that. I know how you feel. What? Go ahead. No, come on.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I don't know much about ELO.
You're missing out.
Yeah?
Yeah, anyway.
Every time I try, I don't know, something about it just...
I think you would like Telephone Line. Anyway, this is the second concert that I took Gage, Blue's biological nephew, my nephew, to. I took my mom, my dad, Gage, Blue, to that concert. And when this song was played, the lights went down and it was green laser lights everywhere. And it was so cool. And they hadn't toured in 30 years. So, and at the time, this was Gage's favorite band.
What is it about green lasers?
They're cool.
Because I feel the same way, but they have all
colors?
the colors are represented, but for some reason it's the green that gets you.
I don't know. I literally have like 4 green laser lights sitting around the house because Blue likes to buy them. And
you ever watch the Stoned Age?
The Stoned Age?
Yeah. In a film, and throughout the film, they're talking about this guy who went to a concert. It was a Blue Oyster Cult concert.
Yeah.
And when they started playing Don't Fear the Reaper, the guitar solos kicked in. One of the lasers hit him, and I was just asking. I didn't know if you'd seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Telephone Line by ELO. That's my next pick.
Get you some.
Yeah. What about you?
My next pick is Gore by the Deftones. You mentioned Yuri's overuse of that high range capability.
Yeah.
Chino shrieks. Like he's got this scream that you hear in certain songs, but he was doing it all over the place at the show. And I kept thinking, yeah, it's overkill. But at the same time, you're watching this person and going, how do you do that day in and day out from show to show? Crazy. What I remember about this was another Texas Motor Speedway show, but it wasn't inside the Speedway. We were in a field across the way. I think it was called Texas Mutiny. They had multiple stages. It went all day long in the heat with all of these different artists. Joseph and Al were there all day and looked like a sponge that just sat in the sun for too long. Both of them did when we got there.
Yeah.
They were scared to drink beer. I remember when we got there because they already felt too dehydrated. They didn't know if it was going to make it worse. But it started raining and it got really cool after we were there. We watched Chevelle.
I think I remember y'all telling me about like this festival.
Yeah.
Or at least your wife was telling me about it.
I mean, we were only there for 2 artists. We really watched Chevelle and the Deftones. And then we cut out before Avenged Sevenfold for some reason. I still consider that a mistake, but it's what happened. But when they played the title track of the Gore album, it was another one of those fantastic moments like with Collective Soul's Shine. When you're outdoors at a concert and the right artist plays the right song, it's unforgettable. And then we had to walk to the car where I saw a girl get her head bashed into the dashboard of a vehicle and tried not to follow someone home and murder them, but it is what it is.
Yep.
What's your next pick?
Feel So Numb by Rob Zombie. I saw Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson in concert recently with my dad. I say recently, it was probably mid-year last year. I had never seen either one of them live, but I knew kind of what to expect from Manson, because for those of you that don't know what type of show he puts on, do your research before you go. Rob Zombie, I had heard.
No, thank you, by the way.
Rob Zombie, I had heard wasn't very good live. Could not disagree more. Same reaction from my dad.
I'd never heard that.
He was the one telling me. He was like, yeah, because he'll do research before, and he's like, yeah, I saw some of the shows. He's not very good. Man, did he put his foot in his mouth, because Rob Zombie put on a hell of a show, and Manson was the one that actually disappointed us. Constant changes after every song. He'd just drop the mic and walk off stage like a minute before a song was over. He took too long with his costume changes. There was like a 3-minute break in between each song where everything was just black. Just stuff like that.
I think of Zombie. I think of going to Hastings, where you had to wait in the line around the building to get autographs.
And I didn't come when y'all went to that. I stayed home.
It was your fucking brother who ate that. He was quiet back in the day. Anyway, we get up there, though, and it's Rob and Sherry. Fucking the look on his face. His mouth is just hanging open. He's, oh.
My dad used to play Rob Zombie and drive us around in the country in cornfields, and he'd call out for the moon dog to come get us, because you were always scared. You were scared of the moon dog, and he'd drive through the cornfields and turn off his headlights and go, ah, like some Children of the Corn shit. But I remember not coming with you guys. I didn't know y'all were going to go to Hastings and meet Rob Zombie. I didn't go to a funeral. I think it was Grandma Laura's funeral. Maybe. Anyway, I remember getting the call on my mom.
Well, that puts a damper on my memory.
And I remember my mom calling me and be like, you'll never guess who we just met. And she told me, and I was pissed the fuck off. But anyway, Feel So Numb by Rob Zombie was my pick. Yours?
My next is Screaming in Digital by Queensryche, who I saw last year. This is a song from my favorite album by them, Rage for Order. I wanted to go with Warning, the title track from the Warning album, which was released on the day I was born, the actual day I was born, but they didn't perform it. What?
Was that a warning to the
world? I
world?
think so. That's kind of how I hear it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. But our Uncle Mike took me to this concert, and I tried to repay him. I think I took him to Hooters for the first time.
That was you repaying him and taking him to Hooters for the first time?
We were just hungry, and it was close by. I didn't know he'd never been, and he looked very happy to be there. I guess. I don't know. Not usually my type, but they have a new vocalist, and he does such a good job. of sounding exactly like Jeff Tate, but his writing is much more influential. It sticks to the older formula quite a bit more. Just to see those guys, I never thought I was going to, and it was at the House of Blues. My best experience there by far. We've been to some metal fest there, and I think we saw a Johnny Cash cover.
You seem to lean more towards the festivals, like with multiple artists, which I haven't been, but I want to go to because it seems like the most bang for your buck is to just go to a festival.
It's tiring.
Yeah.
It can be very tiring. But this was the first time at the House of Blues I actually got to be on the second story, which is just all seating.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to sit there and watch Queensryche, and I loved that because Dream Theater, there were seats, but everybody stood up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they sat through the first band that came out. I think it was King's Diamond, something like that. But then everybody stood for Dream Theater. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was the same when we went to go see Joe Satriani. Everybody was sitting for and Joe Petrucci?
John.
Did I say John? Yeah, John.
Melts your face like the sun with his guitar playing, yes.
Yes. And we were sitting pretty much the entire time, and then Joe Satriani comes on because he's the headliner? Everybody stood up, and I'm like, God dang it, why can't we just sit?
True story. When I'd probably written about 30 songs, right? Just me and my acoustic, and I'm writing music. And I'm used to being around Joel, who, can play a bunch of Metallica and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But our friend Thomas, we went over to some guy's house so he could get some weed. And this dude was like a guitar wizard.
Yeah.
And we wound up talking about music, and Dream Theater comes into the conversation, and he's like, bro, do you like Pull Me Under? Yeah. Check this out.
He had to flex on you a little bit.
He played the whole fucking thing. He was like freestyling in the verses and shit. And it just made me think, I'm never going to be anything. What can I do in this world? And
this is as good as it gets for me right now.
It's not until later in life that you realize a lot of people like that, they never write anything. They just sit in their living rooms and play the handful of songs that they know that were written by other people.
Yeah, because a lot of people are scared of being subjected to other people's opinions. And
it just seems like such a waste of talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I no longer feel insecure. I am happy to be a mediocre talent and trying to make something of myself. What was your next pick?
All right, my final pick. This was the last concert that I saw, and it was If I Could Turn Back Time by Cher. This is the only concert that it was just me and my mom. We've gone to other concerts where it's like me, my mom, my dad, and Blue. This was the only concert that my mom and I had ever been to, and she was very much in her element. We're talking drag queens dressed as Cher, walking around. She's loving it. And Cher gets on, and she's a good performer. My mom cries. So, but I got a lot
not a panic attack though.
No, it was a good cry.
Girl.
Yes. And I got a lot of cute videos from that night of my mom just being in pure awe and joy at being in the moment.
I'm going to say fanboy from now on. Down with the patriarchy.
Yeah. Thanks for assuming that every freak out's a fan girl.
Continue now.
But yeah, it was nice getting to see Cher live. She was put on a good show, and who was it? Chic opened for her. So
that could be cool.
My mom loved it. So that's my final pick. What's yours?
I'm still trying to think of what Chic does. Is it
La Freak?
La Freak.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the okay.
Mm-hmm.
My final pick, and I'm not. This is an honest answer.
Okay. I like honest answers.
It's What the Darkness Brings by Neil Ryan and the Mistreated. This is a friend of mine. He might actually be our first music guest that we have on.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to lose the opportunity to talk to. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's my homie. But I'd never seen this kind of music live. It's a rockabilly. It's got a lot of 50s, 60s vibes with some country thrown. Exquisite stuff. And I wasn't sure what to anticipate out of him and the group live. And I know I'd heard about some of the behind the scenes struggles leading up to the show because it was their first show. And holy shit, they just killed it. It wasn't a very long set, but it was really great. It was nice to see a new type of music. And it didn't hurt that it was at a bar where I could just go get tons of beers that I'd never tried and whatnot. It's not like I got drunk and that's why I loved the show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it probably contributed to the mood a little bit.
Yeah. This guy has a ton of potential, and I really hope that I worry that the COVID stuff has put a damper on the momentum that they were building, and I really hope that they continue to shoot for the moon when this is all said and done, because I don't think they'll have trouble reaching that moon. So What the Darkness Brings by Neil Ryan and Mistreated.
Can we find them anywhere?
Yeah, he's on Spotify.
Okay.
He's only got a handful of tracks up right now. There's also a video that he let me post on YouTube, which takes his song that I just mentioned.
The one that he liked?
Yeah. Yeah.
He liked his own shit?
No. That's a...
Oh.
I thought you meant just like... No, I remember working with him at the time and asking him if he'd like me to do that. And he's like, yeah, dude, I think that'd be cool.
Okay.
So I did that. And yeah, he enjoyed it. He thought it was a perfect fit, I think was the comment I got. But no, Rodney Norman was the... Okay. This is a old... You go watch that.
Okay.
When we're done, your dad is going to be doing this further down the line just for shits and giggles. He will do what Rodney Norman is doing right now.
Okay.
I didn't mean to just combine Neil with Rodney Norman because polar opposites here.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is all I have for my music list. Is there anything you feel like we missed talking about so far?
I'm going to say, for at least when it comes to this list, for the people that are going to get, I'm probably going to hear shit about. I've seen a lot of bands, like Shane said, I've seen a lot of bands, and there are a lot of bands that I did not name. I can name. I mean, I've seen Hanson, I've seen Van Halen, like concert experiences that I've had with other people that didn't make this list. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy myself. That doesn't mean I didn't love the concert. I specifically picked songs from certain concerts that had a story tied to them. So, for people, Samantha and Toby, I love you, and I've loved every concert experience that we have shared together. It just didn't make this list today. I will always, maybe farther down the line, set up what concerts or bands have you seen in concert that weren't previously mentioned? You know, like I can do another list long down the line, but don't think they weren't important to me. I say that because they bought my Van Halen ticket.
So. I was wondering why we were kissing so much ass here.
Yeah, it's I got to see David Lee Roth live, and Eruption almost made this list. So getting to see Eddie Van Halen perform Eruption live also melted my face. So
I can't hear Jump and not think I'm back at the skating rink watching the speed skaters.
Yeah.
That was their shit. Yeah, while we're apologizing, I'm sorry, Mom, that I didn't mention the Cherry Poppin' Daddies concert. That was a very, very neat experience. I'm not joking. Anyway, let's get on to the picks for next week.
All right.
So we'll start with the listener jam jar that's closest to you. Yeah, I'll let you do it.
All right. It's the highlight of my episodes. All right.
You said Within Temptation took your win too?
Yes.
Okay. Have we disagreed ever on... I think the only disagreement we've had in winter so far was Katie. It was Fiona.
Yes.
Okay.
She picked Fiona and we both picked Tom Petty. I don't think we are in disagreement. The only thing that we really disagree on mostly is where our albums fall, which we were actually pretty close when it came to this week.
Both of these artists, yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay. This listener suggestion comes from Katie, and it's Chris Stapleton.
Okay. You had me really worried for a minute.
Why? Is there a lot
I don't
in
know.
here?
I don't remember what all she asked to be in there.
Chris Stapleton I can get down with.
Yeah.
So, another country artist that I will try not to disappoint everyone reviewing in the process. All right, and now we're drawing from the original jam jar.
You looking like a motherfucker.
I am, but I'm.
You're scared to get another Within Temptation. That's what you're scared of.
No, I was happy. God, you had to say that. Godsmack.
Okay.
So we have Chris Stapleton and Godsmack.
It should be an interesting week.
That's for damn sure.
If you've got any questions or recommendations for us, go ahead and write us online and let us know. You can even send us personal stories, give us feedback on our layout. Do you not like what we're doing for some reason? How do you think we could be better? Do you have any questions you want us to answer? Feel free to hit us up. That's all I got.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. Come find us online and let us know what you want to hear next, like Shane said, because it's what you choose to share that ultimately makes your melody unforgettable. You can email us at rated_radio@yahoo.com. And with that, we're gone again till next time.
Goodbye, good people.